Because he's the king of the pirates, Monkey D. Luffy. Hey there, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and fellow TikTok enjoyers. Welcome back to another reaction video where I am going to react to some more fucking TikToks. So, we are on episode 23 of the Dark Dimension TikTok reaction series where I have this as a really big advertisement for my Twitch channel, Twitch TV/Tecnics channel, but also because I like reacting to TikToks and I want to show the idea that a lot of people have the wrong idea that this world, this dimension, is full of sparkly sunshine and rainbows, where in reality, it's fucked and it's dark and things are fucked up. So we're basically trying to be depressed. Anyway, following off last time, we're about a month behind, a little bit more than a month behind now. I believe we're on June 9th, and currently it is July 13th, so we are past a month now because it's been a week. But hopefully we can change that today. I've sent myself some spicy stuff today, which we're probably not going to get to this episode, but we are kind of catching up, but not really. So as I always say, because we are still so behind, I do not really remember what I sent myself. Although some of them, like this one, I actually do remember. And it'll be a first for both me and for you. Now, I'm going to do something I usually do on my stream at Twitch TV/Tecnics channel. And what might that be, you ask? That is, I tell the stream my palate. What is the palate, you might ask? What I'm eating. So, of the palette today, because I also like to use this not only as a big advertisement for my Twitch channel, Twitch TV/Tecnics channel, where I stream every night, usually in the wee hours of the night, doing nonsense, grinding the same games every day, but I also use this as an excuse to finally eat my food because I don't do it when I actually stream, because I'm focused on gaming. But here, we're watching things so I could focus on eating and crying because the shit's sad. But anyway, the palette for today is some pasta I made yesterday that has some vodka sauce on it. Some sausage I made yesterday that I put some lemon on, some sweet Italian sausage. A McChicken from McDonald's. Some peppers and some cucumba. As well as some halal food from some tikka masala from a halal cart that I got. As well as, if we need to get it, if this goes long enough, because we're starting fairly early. I'm actually starting at like 9 p.m. So not only do we have a long time to potentially do this, but also, we're going to say goodnight to the grandparents as well. I almost forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, that's basically it. That's all the food we have for today. Not a little bit, but not too much in my opinion. So without further ado, let's get into what makes this universe fucked in episode 23. He's made of rubber. How did that happen? Yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum gum.
Want to know which shampoo brands are family owned and which ones make your hair fall out? I went to
Oh.
Target and I found the real hair care aisle and another
shit.
one. We have time, we'll even do the little men's aisle here at the end.
Oh
It's
yeah,
game
I'm
simple.
a man.
We're looking for any brand that's not owned by a mega corporation. Or at
Oh.
least a brand that is not in a class action lawsuit for shampoo that makes your hair fall out. No
Whoa.
joke. Starting off with Pantene. Who owns Pantene? Procter & Gamble. And if you're a top shareholder,
I own some stock in them.
holders are a bunch of fund managers and banks.
So I think we showed it in a previous video. If we didn't, I'm kind of spoiling for the future. But Vanguard and BlackRock literally own everything.
No one gives a shit about a hair product in your aisle. So Pantene looks like that. What about OGX?
So you could say, you know, not only do I inform people of the true ways of this world, the reality of this world, but I also inform people what fucking shampoo is good for you. How good of a content creator am I?
Accidentally went down this rabbit hole about this Brazilian oil company, and I met this billionaire who was an international speedboat champion. Got arrested for
Bro, that guy looks like a James Bond villain.
like major fraud. He was once worth $32 billion and boasted that he would overtake our buddy Carlos Slim as the richest man in the world by 2015.
Yeah, right.
And then his wealth went from this peak of 32 billion to a negative net worth of over 100% losses.
Oh.
Top it all off, he got indicted for a $100 million money laundering scheme, paying off the governor of Rio de Janeiro.
It's almost like, and we're gonna see this again in the future here, I don't know if it might be this episode, but we'll see. But it's almost like these people with billions of dollars of money, people don't understand, or some people do, but many people don't understand how much $1 billion is. That is an extreme amount of money where, again, unless you're buying Twitter or you're buying fucking countries outright, you're never going to be able to spend that shit unless you're stupid or you're trying to. Like, if you're just gonna buy like 500 mega yachts, then maybe you can run out of money, right? Maybe. Because the fuel on those shits costs insane amounts. But unless you're really really dumb or really really on a mission to prove like you just don't value money, or because you can, that money will never be able to be spent by you in any normal means in your lifetime or in your family's lifetime. Like, it's actually insane. And this is where it gets to the point where these people grow up different. I always say that rich people are divorced from society, just like the divorce rate in our society is pretty high too. But they're divorced from society. They are separate. They don't think and feel the same way we do because they are different. They interact differently. It changes them, right? This is where they don't see no as a potential because money can unlock any door to them, even the door to our rules and our government, which obviously we've already seen with the Supreme Court. And we're going to see even more of.
$16 million, and he is now on a 30-year sentence in prison.
Like, what a
I
surprise.
was like, what is going on?
What
but
a
then
surprise
I
he
think I realized it was
lobbied
the
the
wrong
government.
OGX, and we're talking about a different criminal OGX.
Ah.
That's right. You really can't make this shit up. OGX shampoo is in a class action lawsuit for putting in chemicals that cause hair loss. And it's not just them. Oh, and by the way, OGX is owned by Johnson & Johnson. And we have seen this sheet several times before. So now that we're back on track, here's our aisle. Moving down, it's more of the same. Then we scooch on down and we find herbal essences, which is obviously not so herbal. So we'll just color their whole section in red. Ah, shit, well, we've done this before. We got Unilever. And if you don't know, now you know.
Oh,
and at the end of the aisle, we got Tresemme. Is that French? That must be good for your hair. Yeah, totally. Not to mention that if you were paying attention, you would have realized that...
You know what's so funny? That name looks like it literally says unaliver. Like, it looks like it unalives you.
Tresemme is also making your hair fall out. So that's aisle number 1.
Whoa.
Welcome to Target. Okay, aisle number 2. We already did Suave. Unilever gave away their North American business to private equity. But fuck them, I'm feeling spicy this morning. We're giving them straight up red. Next we got Garnier Fructis, L'Oreal Group. Oh shit, L'Oreal's family owned, man. Still owned by the Bettencourt Myers family. That's so cool. I mean, L'Oreal can go fuck itself.
Okay, so we're not going to play this whole thing because I'm pretty sure people get the point. But just to go to the end here and show off stuff.
Bitches. We didn't have time to get to this fancy shit today, but we'll get there. And if you're waiting for me to tell you that native shampoo is good, I'm sorry. You shouldn't watch the next video. So that's the real shampoo aisle. And a little side tangent about a Brazilian billionaire that likes to race jet skis.
But yeah, so essentially, almost every single shampoo is owned by like the same like 3-4 companies, and they're all not really good for you. So, again, what the fuck are we supposed to do? What are we... I might make the title of this video that, because honestly it's getting to the point where I'm just questioning, what are we supposed to do at this point where they own everything, it's the same people who own everything, and it's not even good for us? It's literally like this says, the illusion of choice and the illusion of a free market. We are in the extremes of capitalism, people, and I sound such like a conspiracy theorist, and I say the same things every episode, but oh my god, I feel like it's fucking true, and it's scary, and it's not making me hard. Anyway, let's go next.
Thousands of people in Serbia have begun handing in their guns. The country was stunned with their first mass shootings in close to a decade earlier this month. Following this...
Yeah, and I know a lot of places aren't like the US. In the US, we have like a shooting every fucking day, if not every week. Honestly, it's sad, but I'm kind of numb to it at this point. But for this shit to happen in another country in like a decade, these people are probably scared shitless.
The Serbian government declared a 1-month period where citizens could surrender unregistered weapons without any punishment. And in the first week alone, they received 13,500 items, including rifles, pistols, hand grenades, and even anti-tank rocket launchers.
So this is where I have to question something here, right? This is where I think it's important, and obviously this is going to be a very, very complex topic, right? that a lot of my fans might fight me on, my millions of fans. But this is where in the first week alone they gave in all these firearms, right? Now obviously in the US we live and breathe gun, at least in the South and in the West. Not really in the East here. But we breathe gun in the United States. But look at how many people gave in their guns, right? And not even just guns, grenades, tank rounds, and all this other shit. Like shit. There was so many guns out there that people had, and for a whole decade with all of these, just from the first week, there's probably way more than this, by the way. This is just the first week. So they are filled to the brim with guns too, from what it looks like. I mean, literally look at them. They're lining them all up, right? They're filled to the brim with guns. How the fuck was there not a mass shooting when there was this many guns in this many people's hands? There wasn't a mass shooting in 10 years? This is where I honestly believe either A, the guns were the deterrent, or B, it has to do with the culture. And it could probably be a mix of both, and it probably is. Which one more? I don't know. I personally have to say maybe the culture, because we ain't, the rest of the world ain't like the US, I'll tell you that. But it brings up a good question of like, if there's this many guns in the wild out there, how is there not more shootings? It's not that there's no guns. Now that you're taking away guns, the crazy people who have guns might be more incentivized to shoot people. It's just a question.
Officials say that approximately half of the arms had been held illegally, while the other
Like, look at that. If half of them are held illegally and there wasn't a mass shooting, doesn't that kind of tell you like it's a culture thing at that point? I don't know.
half were registered weapons that citizens just decided to hand over. So the question is, if the US had a 1-month amnesty period, how many guns do you think would be handed over?
Not a lot. And this is where Americans love their guns. This is another very, very heated topic, and we're not going to get too into it because very easily we can, but we won't, because I don't want to sit here for 2 hours on 2 videos. But America was founded on the belief that the people have to fight back against the government if the government becomes tyrannical. Ironic, thinking of the times now, right? But this is where they also made this law of, the right to bear arms, when arms were not as deadly as they were now. When arms back then was like a musket and a cannon fucking ball. Like, people don't have cannonballs anymore, and muskets are pretty tame comparatively to what we got now. So, does the law need to be updated? And it's a very big culture thing, because in America, I think it's a lot of other things, as well as over in, where was this at?
Thousands of people in Serbia have
In Serbia. I think in Serbia, as well as in the US, it's a lot of other things affecting this, like the economy, the culture, and things of that nature, right? In America, our economy fucking sucks. So, of course, people are going to resort to crime. And then our education system sucks, so people are belligerent and they're stupid. There's a lot of criminal activity. The police suck in more ways than one. So a lot of things are not really going right, where it's kind of this cesspool and this mixing pot of just a bad like event waiting to happen. It's like we're priming people and we're almost forcing them, not forcing them, but we're like really conditioning them to not be good people, and then we're wondering like, wow, why is there so much crime? Oh, let's just send them to prison. And then hopefully I've showed this in a previous video, but let's send them to prison and then let's make money off of them in prison, like we're trading them like trading cards, because prisons are privately owned now. It's like, okay, so that's fucking them. The education system's fucking them. The economy's fucking them. And when I say them, I mean most like poor people. So at this point, everything's going wrong. Of course, it's going to create a lot of bad people. And when there's so many guns, of course they're going to do bad things because they're stupid. They don't care, right? Or they're racist. Who knows? Racist, sexist, you fucking pick one. There's so many people here. So this is where in Serbia, I think things are a lot different. I mean, again, they have guns, as we can see. But with so many guns, there wasn't a mass shooting in 10 years. So it makes you question, what's the difference? And this is where I know people personally in the army and not in the army that have guns, and they say they would rather die and they will defect, they will like try to start a revolution if the government tries to take away their guns. But this is, I think, the saving grace of America, where not only can we not agree on anything, we are vastly divided on many topics, and guns being one of them. So even though one side of our government probably wants to ban them, the other side wants to fucking hug and kiss them and tuck them goodnight to bed. So they're probably not going anywhere for a long time. But anyway, pretty cool video, pretty cool question.
In 2018, bus drivers in Okayama, Japan went on strike.
Whoa.
But they continued operating their routes. They just didn't collect any fare from the passengers.
So this is a new trend that's happening. that I don't know if it's similar to the one that he just mentioned, but when I'm at work and I'm like scrolling through like news articles and stuff, right? Because I really don't want to do work. I'm depressed and I hate my job because they exploit me. Um, this is where I see articles not about quiet quitting anymore. Now it's about loud quitting. So apparently, loud quitting is this new phenomenon where instead of just doing just enough just to get by, you're doing your job in a malicious way to cost the company money, resources, or basically you're trying to harm the company by doing your job. So, for example, let's say you're a fast food worker. Loud quitting would be giving away free food. You're still taking orders, you're just not benefiting the company, you're benefiting the customer only. So this is kind of what the Japanese people are doing here, even though they're showing this in New York, actually kind of right near where I work, believe it or not. That's actually like a couple blocks from where I work. Holy shit, what the fuck? Interesting. But yeah, this is where the Japanese people, the bus drivers, not taking fares. That is one of the best ways to ride. Because number one, when you well not ride, but that's one of the best ways you protest, right? And you strike. You're not inconveniencing the consumer, you're inconveniencing only the company that has the most to lose. And at that point, you don't want the common people to go against you because a lot of people are stupid. And I'll say a little spoiler alert for what's happening right now. Right now, there's like three strikes. Well, there's two happening, and there's one big one bound to happen very soon. The two happening right now are with the Writers Guild and the like it's something with like Hollywood and like their movies. It's like writers and screenwriters or some shit. But those two people came together to strike unfair wages because they literally are getting homeless, writing the best movies and stuff in the world that's making so much money because the companies are pocketing all of it. And I believe it's UPS that's about to strike too, which I think we've heard of, but if we haven't, then we'll see it in a future episode. But essentially, these places are striking, right? But this is where it's going to cause disruption to all of the things we like, and people are not smart enough, or maybe they are smart enough, but they don't care enough to a certain point when you're a consumer to really be on their side. So at first, they'll hear the plight, right? They're like, oh, we're not getting paid enough. People will be like, yeah, that's wrong. Stand up for your rights. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But then the second it starts to affect them where their movie doesn't come out on time or their delivery is late, that's when they're like, okay, you guys rioted, you guys, picketed, you did your little spiel. They said no, now get back to work, I want my shit. A lot of people are basically bystanders when they come to supporting a cause. They don't want to actually put their flesh in the game, they don't want to put their foot in the game where they have something to lose, and they just want to reap the benefits. So people can say a lot of shit on the sidelines, but when they get into the ring, they don't say a lot. Now, this is where the Japanese people, or the bus drivers, did it perfectly. They're not going against the common people, which you do need to support you, but they're literally just inconveniencing the company. So it's amazing.
The same thing happened in Sydney, Australia, as well as
Go!
Brisbane. These kinds of strikes are very popular with liberals because it doesn't inconvenience anyone.
Yo, for those of you people who don't know, I absolutely love emojis. I think emojis are so funny. One of the funniest things ever.
Except
I love them.
for the bus companies. Liberals don't have to sacrifice anything, they don't have to show any real solidarity.
This is a big thing, right? So it doesn't take a lot to basically support the oh my god, what are they called? I keep calling them rioters, but that's not the right word, and I keep forgetting the word. It's not very hard to basically support the strikers. That's what they're called. Because they set up these things called picket lines. So, like we just said, right? The Writers Guild, the Writers Association, they're setting up picket lines on movie sets, and the Teamsters are essentially agreeing to not like cross the picket line because they don't want to make enemies of these people and they believe it's fucked up what's happening, right? This is where you can cross picket lines. It's not against the law or anything, but you're definitely going to get looked at and you're going to get blacklisted from a lot of things going forward by the community. Not by the big wigs, which, we serve and we suck the cock of, but by the community. And ironically enough, this has to do recently with something we showed with League of Legends, where in a previous episode with League, we saw that NA was arguing to keep a certain roster on the competitive scene, and Riot just said fuck it, no, and all the players of NALCS collectively came together and said we are not playing, we are making a picket line, like fuck you. And Riot said we don't care, the teams are franchised, so they're playing no matter what, get anyone with a living pulse get them in LCS. We need to have a show. If not, we'll cancel the show. We don't care, right? I don't know what happened with that because I still see LCS happening, so I think they might have come to a conclusion. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. Literally, I have LCS on like 2 tabs over from here. We'll show it off right now too. Look, LCS is happening right here. But granted, I don't follow League Pro like that anymore, so I don't know if those are the actual players or not. But essentially, people tend to respect the picket line. This is where all you have to do is just wait, don't go against them, and just abstain. The biggest thing you can always do is with your wallets.
So could these sort of strikes work in the United States?
No.
Well, maybe not anymore. An 8-1 decision found that employers have the right to
Oh, look at our favorite little Supreme Court justice. The guy who looks like he's bored to be there because he's not on a paid vacation by his billionaire sugar daddy.
sue workers if they believe that
Oh, look, another one.
their activism hurt the business.
You know what's crazy? A lot of these people are corrupt. We found out 2 of them. We found out Clarence Thomas was one of them. We also found another one was doing it, and they are literally breaking federal law. They are breaking our government's law, and no one cares because they make the rules. They're not getting arrested. They're not stepping down. Clarence Thomas is still doing his bullshit, even though and everyone knows this, he actively broke the law. If anyone else broke the law this publicly and everyone knew, they'd be arrested and jailed. But these people, nothing happens to them. And again, people don't care because look, they're still doing what they're doing, and enough people didn't make it an issue to where nothing happened. It's fucking crazy.
This was specifically in response to a dispute from 2017 in which workers from Glacier Northwest, a Washington-based concrete company, went on strike. They left wet cement in their trucks, with the trucks turned on so that it wouldn't harden immediately. But because the company couldn't find anyone to go out there and
Love this image, by the way. Never cross a picket line. That's honestly some of the best advice ever. If you do that, not only are you against the common man, you're basically a corporate shill without even realizing it, but you're also literally fucking people's lives. Like, a lot of people will use the argument of, oh, like, I'm not actively doing it, or, oh, I need this, I need that, right? You need to realize, unless we all band together, like in the Revolutionary War, we're all fucked against these big companies. And I've been saying this in previous episodes too, where we're getting to a time where even this is starting to become not enough. A, because a lot of people aren't caring anymore, and B, because the companies just have so much control and so much wealth, they can wait us out for hundreds of years to come, and there's always going to be a worker and ready to replace us that will cross the picket line. So it's like really sad.
retrieve the trucks, some of the cement hardened. This ruling should be very disturbing to you because the entire purpose of a strike is to cause a business damage. If it doesn't cause them economic strife, it doesn't work.
Exactly.
Employment lawyer Dan Altchek thinks that this ruling is going to have some very far-reaching consequences. He says, beyond the easy examples of physical equipment and the premises, it can also be intellectual property, goodwill.
And see, this is where the laws are very biased, and I work with lawyers, so I know this shit. Where, like, the law, just because it's the law doesn't mean it's right. This is where people argue intellectual property, and the music industry does this a lot, and they abuse it. And especially goodwill. How do you measure goodwill? You can just measure goodwill as in, like, oh, you made our company delay a project for a customer. Now the customer lost goodwill with us, so you owe us money. And, like, you're trying to strike to get more money, meanwhile they're suing you for money, even though they don't pay you enough to live.
What if food industry workers go on strike and crops are allowed to rot in the fields or warehouses or unsold on shelves?
It's crazy.
What if workers go on strike and clients pull out of a major contract deal? If Amazon spends tens of millions of dollars advertising for Prime Day and then those workers go on strike.
Hey, and we just had Prime Day and I just bought some shit on it too. I bought socks.
Are they held liable for that? In our Japanese bus example, would workers have to pay for the fuel they burned up while driving around without collecting fares?
I wouldn't
Are
be surprised
workers
if they
required to
did.
give their bosses enough notice to find them a bunch of scabs so that production doesn't stop? The lone
This
dissenting
is so true. Scabs are the lowest form of life. When you scab for the man, you cheat all workers out of better wages. This is so true. And it's honestly sad that this is how society is. It's literally us fucking each other. It used to be us trying to conquer the world, right? Like, you know, nature was against us, animals, predators were against us when we were cavemen, technology was against us because things were hard to do and it was backbreaking labor. A lot of that stuff is solved now. The biggest threat to ourselves is literally ourselves. We sabotage each other. And the people who do it are the rich people, but you can't ever get rid of rich people because if you get rid of them, they're just going to get replaced. And the whole cycle starts over.
Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said, "Workers are not indentured servants, bound to continue laboring until any planned work stoppage would be as painless as possible for their master." The Supreme Court's recent major rulings have largely been split between their conservative and liberal justices, but it's important to notice that this one was overwhelming, 8-1. The reason for this is because Democrats and Republicans are both bourgeois capitalist parties. They can disagree on all sorts of social issues, but when it comes to economic issues,
when it comes to something where they get paid to fucking get lobbied,
labor issues, to foreign affairs, imperialism, they're typically lockstep. If we want to fight back against power and influence, we can't rely on those powerful people to do it for us.
Yes, sir. So obviously I have no clue this was actually an ad. I didn't know this was at the end here. Workers' World Party, but hey man, they spread a good message. I'm not saying to join them. I'm not going to join them, but I want people to just be aware of these things and be informed. This is fucked up. This whole shit's fucked. What the fuck do we even do anymore, right? Because even then, even through knowing this shit, again, I really question, are we past the point where we can do something about it? It's scary stuff, man. Anyway, let's go next. I'm eating my cucumba still.
There are two big things happening this week that will impact your money.
Whoa, and it's not this week because we're a month out from this. This was on the 12th and it's the 13th of July. Of July. Yeah, this was in June.
I'm sure they're both going to be overshadowed by all this Trump stuff going on, but that doesn't mean these aren't important stories too. They absolutely
are. Oh shit, I almost dropped my fucking
first thing
cucumba.
that will impact your money. Tomorrow, we are going to get the inflation numbers for May from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. For those of you who know.
And you know, I'll just spoil the surprise here. Here's basically what's happening. The numbers were alright. They weren't great. And when I say alright, not great, that means inflation wasn't that high. Inflation's always going to be there, so it's always going to be getting worse. But it's just getting worse at a lesser extent. Or at a less high speed. Which, again, is still not good, but it's something better, I guess. So, this is where the Fed right now has paused the interest rates. But they're going to raise them again because stuff's not looking good again. So we hit a pause, and now it's going to get worse again.
No, it's the consumer price.
And then people are saying, like we've seen in previous episodes, that this pausing and all this like inflation and the Fed rate going up, we're not going to feel this for a couple months out. So we're still in it to win it, essentially. We're not getting the ass ramming yet. We're going to get it in the future.
In the last few months, the CPI has shown a steady but slow decrease in inflation overall. We'll have to wait and see if that trend will continue. The other thing that's going to impact your money is happening on Wednesday. The Federal Reserve will be announcing whether they will be raising interest rates again.
And they're not. And like I said, they're pausing and then they're continuing soon. So anyway, we're going to skip this video in the interest of time. But thank you, Lisa. You're very cool.
Just wanted to remind everybody that if you're working full-time, overtime, busting your ass, struggling to get by, making above minimum wage at that as well. Some people double or even triple minimum wage. But you have roommates, you can't buy a car, or you...
And guess what? I'm making almost near minimum wage. Not federal, but in New York, which is nothing. Again, I will always bring this up, how Mr. Wonderful freaking, what's this fucking asshole's name? Mr. Wonderful is not Jim Cramer, because he's another one. Oh my god, let me look him up. Fuck, who's Mr. Wonderful? Mr. Wonderful. Kevin O'Leary. So, Kevin O'Leary, right, is another one who, when he said this, like, it fucking shocked me, right? For those of you who don't know, I do not make a lot of money above minimum. And many people don't make a lot of money above minimum. Kevin O'Leary obviously is rich, so he's a little disconnected from society, but a person went to Kevin O'Leary and basically said, like, oh, I'm earning $50K a year, right? On his little show where it's, like, called CNBC's Make It. Excuse me, where he shows how much people make from around the world, and, or at least in the United States. And, this is where, like, he questioned the person making $50K, saying, like, what do you live under a rock? If 50K is living under a rock, I must be living above the rock in the rain or something. Because, like, 50K sounds kind of nice. I mean, obviously it's not that much, but it sounds kind of nice, man. It's just so crazy how little people make and how, like, this is allowed.
Or you can't save money. Just remember, that's not normal.
It's not.
In fact, that hasn't been the case since the Great Depression started.
Okay. This is actually a very big deal here. So, I've mentioned in other episodes. This is proving my point extremely. I've mentioned in other episodes that misinformation is a very big, scary thing nowadays because we don't know what's true and what's not. And this video is a perfect example of that, and I will show you why soon. But let's just keep watching the video.
In 1921. You can make a case that we're in a Great Depression right now. Now, that's going to trigger some people, so I don't quite want to say that, but you can make that argument. We have the lowest purchasing power of...
So he's not wrong where we have the lowest purchasing power, but this is also where we're not in a Great Depression. The Great Depression was way worse.
Any generation, basically ever in United States history.
Like, yeah, we can't buy a house, but we're not starving.
Working full-time, with overtime, well above minimum wage prices, but you can't live on your own, buy a house, have a car, save money. If an unexpected bill comes, you're totally screwed. Just remember, that's not normal. And that's because we're being robbed, exploited, taken advantage.
Okay, I might be wrong. It might not be this video, but it's definitely a video soon that we're going to see where it sounds real. I don't think it's this one anymore, though, but it might be still. But we're going to see a video where it looks so real, and then someone's going to debunk it, and it's going to be like, holy shit, like, what are we supposed to believe anymore?
Of every single level that is possible right now. Don't let anyone tell you any different. This is not normal.
It's not this.
It's not okay. It's not because you're not working hard enough. It's not because you're buying Starbucks. It's not because of avocado toast. It's because we're being robbed.
See, that's true. And as a person who, when I was younger, I always heard the adults complaining about inflation, right? I used to go to the store and buy a bag of chips for $1, right? And it was the big bag, too. It's not the little bags filled with air. It's the big bags still filled with air, but with a lot more chips. And I used to buy it for $1, and I was like, damn, this is a pretty good deal. It's just $1. And then the old people would be like, oh, I used to get that for 25 cents. It used to be 50 cents. This. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know what? It's $1. $1's $1, right? It's convenient. No coins. Fuck it. I don't care. Those shits are like $4 fucking now. I shit you not. The same bags of chips I used to get, or something. Like the sour cream and onion, like Utz chips, or something, $4.19 or some shit. And it's like, bro, it's never gonna go back down. And I mean, it's a good thing too, because I don't buy chips anymore because they're so expensive. But it's like, bro, what is going on? And this is where it really fucks with my mind. Where when I grew up, it was this much, but now because of inflation, it's greater. But I guess that's the new normal now because everything has went up. But I can't wrap my head around it because the pay isn't keeping up. And a lot of the videos mention that where the pay isn't keeping up with the prices. And that's the big issue because, 10,000 back in the day was like the equivalent of millions today. And by back in the day, I mean like in the 30s, 40s, right? Not exact numbers, obviously. But 10,000 back in the day was a lot more than 10,000 is today because of inflation. This is where I can't wrap my head around how inflation works because the pay is not keeping up. So what used to be $20 back in the day is like $100 now. But I can't feel it because $100 is still kind of hard to earn. Whereas like back in the day, it was $20 was like kind of the same. A little bit. But anyway, let's keep going. Oh, Jesus, what the hell?
Did you hear the news?
Oh!
Talking about how the I-95 collapsed outside of Philadelphia today.
Oh.
At what point are we going to admit we're under attack? Also, not what I'm referring to!
Oh, shit.
Perhaps you're referring to the tens of thousands of dead fish which have washed ashore along the Gulf Coast of Texas.
Oh, the environment. Oh my God.
Maybe we should talk about the fact that it's like pretty much been confirmed there's a bunch of these silver orbed UFOs flying around our airspace. They have no idea where they came from. Las Vegas police are being very tight-lipped about an incident that happened last week. They're being debriefed not to say anything about it.
Oh.
Should we talk about that, or mystery cloud throws Istanbul into darkness? Or perhaps you're referring to South Jersey where it's raining a foamy substance after a wildfire.
Bro.
No, bro. Conor McGregor knocked out the Miami Heat mascot. I guess there's no need for a punchline. What a dick.
So you see how he mentioned all those bad things? It completely like left my head because he mentioned Conor McGregor. And the sad part is that's how most people work too. You can tell them all the bad shit, but then they want to ignore it, and then they get distracted by like, you know, celebrities doing dumb shit. But anyway, yeah, environment's failing us. Cool. This is where I have to question, though. You know, all joking aside, this is where I have to question. Obviously, there's going to be stuff happening in the environment that's not good. Is that indicative of the environment as a whole, or are we taking the specific examples and we're trying to portray it as like, oh, the environment's failing? So let me say it like this, right? Let's pretend that there's a very specific town that gets acid rain because they're very polluted. Are we going to go to that town, see it has acid rain, and then say there's acid rain all over the world? Obviously not. But at that point, how do we know, like, if this is not an isolated incident or not? Again, how do we know things are real or not? How do we know the reality? Is a big question I have. Anyway, let's go next.
But if you want a government that's going to do the thing.
So for those of you who don't know who this is the legendary investor, the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett. Now, a lot of stock market people like to suck this guy off because he made a lot of money. Also, he probably made a lot of money from his job, but he made a lot of money from the stock market, right? Founded his own company, still makes a shit ton of money. He's the owner of Berkshire Hathaway. And he's like 92 or something, or maybe even more. And he's still working there, and he's still making people money. He's still doing good. Now, I don't know if he's outdated, because obviously what worked back then is a lot different from now, especially with the technology and the stuff like that. But he seems to be having a good track record. Obviously, he's not what he used to be, but he basically popularized the idea of investing in index funds, which always outperform advisors, and also investing for the long term, which is something I'm doing as well, as we saw with all the stocks I owned before in the shampoo video. Excuse me. But yeah, so this is one of the richest guys, and he's also one of the, from what I've heard, obviously we don't know what's true or not, but I've also heard he's pretty down to earth, and he lives very meagerly, which is something I like to do. Me and Mr. Warren over here have a lot of similarities. We're both very cheap. Literally, the shoes I wear to work are either cleats that are half broken because the shoelaces pop off, or shoes from my high school days, which at this point, how long has it been since I've been in high school? It's been, I think, wait a minute, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's almost 8 years since I've been in high school, and I'm still wearing the same sneakers that are literally ripping in half, so I'm pretty cheap. And Warren is the same way. He carries the same wallet with him that he's had for like 20, 30 years. Now, the important thing to note, though, Warren made a good amount of his wealth after he was 60 years old. So he practices what he preaches. A lot of his wealth didn't come till after he was 60, and now he's 90 fucking 2. So he definitely had time to experience it, you know, sit with it and have fun, even though he doesn't really do that. But it takes a while with the stock market. And, you know, I always tell people go with the stock market. I'm not a financial advisor, by the way. Don't think I am. But I always tell people invest in the stock market. But it's a long haul sort of thing. Don't go for the stupid meme stocks, the you know, the fucking go like stocks where it's like, oh, the pump and dumps, right? Don't do that. But invest for the long term, because long term, following the logic, and this is where Warren does have a point, if we look at the history of the stock market, it goes down, but it always goes back up. Because if there's one thing that works in America, it's capitalism. At least for the rich people. And like I say, if you can't beat them, join them.
The things we ask our government to do, you've got to get it from somebody. And over the years, particularly the last 6 or 8 years, they've taken less and less from a guy like me. Now, you know, everybody likes to talk about how the top 1% pays this percent of the income, but the income tax is, we'll say, 1.3 trillion. The payroll taxes are over 900 billion. That 900 billion, that doesn't come from me. I mean, I pay it on the first 100,000 or something like that. But that comes from the people in my office, and they are paying 900 billion. Nobody ever talks about that when they talk about how the 1% is paying. They love to tell how I'm suffering, you know, because 1% we're paying 25% of the total. We're not paying 25% of the total taxes on individuals. We're paying maybe 25% of the income tax, but the payroll tax is over a third of the receipts of the federal government. And they don't take that from me on capital gains. They don't take that from me on dividends. They take that from the woman who comes in and takes the wastebaskets out.
And you know what's crazy? So again, this is where Warren Buffett is calling out this bullshit, right? Because he wasn't born rich, he became rich, which is, you know, as far as I know, I could be wrong about that. I don't fucking know anything anymore, like, confidently, honestly. But this is where he says something that's very true. He's like, the rich need to get taxed more, and the way the tax laws are, it's in favor of the rich, and they don't pay as much. He literally says his receptionist pays more tax than him, and this is one of the richest guys in the fucking world. Like, how is that right? Now, granted, I don't know if he's doing anything to change it, and also it goes into the question of morally, is it someone's position to try and change it if they're rich? A lot of people would say yes, but a lot of those people are the poor people. The rich people would say no. Obviously, why? So, you know, morality definitely changes based on what view you're taking. There's no definite moral thing here, I would say. But obviously, I'd want the rich to pay more taxes, but we can't expect the rich to tax themselves. We can't expect the rich to police themselves. People are always going to do what's in their best interest, not what's in everyone's best interest. So, and the rich see themselves as separate from society because they are divorced from it, like I say. But anyway, yeah, he brings out the points, which is good, but I don't know if he does anything, and I don't know if he should do anything because is it his place to. But Warren Buffett, everyone, the Oracle of Omaha.
My tenants are really struggling. I'm gonna see if I can make a difference.
Oh.
What's going on with you? You missed your rent payment this month.
I'm sorry, I can't afford it. I have my kid, my husband just left me. I'm sorry. What?
If you can't afford a baby, don't have a baby. And second of all, I'm gonna raise your rent payment $600 a month.
What is wrong?
No fucking dogs allowed. My tenants are...
Okay, so this was a more comedic video, right? This was to make people laugh. It's still within the realm of what we deal with in the Dark Dimension series, but, you know, it really makes me question, and I might sound like a major asshole here, and hopefully I'll get canceled by my millions of fans, and then make a comeback story and get billions of fans, but I fucking hate people who have kids and do not know how to take care of them. And what I mean by that, because that could get taken very out of context, what I mean by that is I hate people who have kids who are not ready for kids. If you do not have a good job, right? If you are not with a person who is reliable, if you're with a gangbanger, or if you're with a hoodlum, and you're working at, like, you know, McDonald's making $15 an hour. No offense to McDonald's workers, by the way. As I've said previously, I have a lot of respect for them, and they should get paid way more. But the reality is they're not. So if you're working at like a fast food place, or you're making minimum wherever, and you're with a gangbanger, or you're by yourself, why are you going to have a child? Why are you going to bring that into the world where, like, you can't give it the best shot at stuff? I'm not blaming them for not being able to do that. I blame a lot of the economy too. Not everyone can make it the way things are. But it's like, don't make the choice to have something like that and make their life miserable too. I hate that shit. Where obviously I don't know what happened in this little scenario, but this is more of just like a side tangent anecdote thing. Excuse me. But anyway, yeah, he raised her rent by $600 a month. That's actually pretty realistic. It's not even joking. But yeah, this is pretty funny though. I love this guy. And his girl's hot too.
If you live in New York City, your rent's about to go up $2,500 a year.
Oh, look at the rent.
21st, the Rent Guidelines Board is voting to increase your rent by up to 7%. With rents already averaging $3,000 a month, you could be paying an extra month of rent if this happens. Wealthy landlords are counting on us to not pay attention. But there is a way to fight this. I'm Chiose, youngest member representing the City Council in New York and Bed.
So this is where Chiose here has my full support, right? If he's going to make a picket line, I'm not going to cross it. Nor would I for most picket lines. But this is where there is a light somewhat in the tunnel. We're not at the end of it, but there is some lights in the tunnel where young guys like Chiose here are finally getting into government. They see all the bullshit happening. I honestly think they have the will, they have the fire, and they can call the bullshit out, and they want to fix things because they're the ones who have also suffered. The problem is a lot of people give up the fight halfway because they realize it's nearly unwinnable, and they get special deals for themselves where it's like, okay, everyone else is not going to make it, but we'll make sure you're okay if you come in our pocket. They basically get corrupted. But Chiose, I have faith, man. I have faith.
In Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights, and I'm watching this happen in real time. Last month, we found out when we show up to their meetings and let
I also like how personal he is with using the Apple earbud microphone to talk to us.
them them know that we're not okay with this.
Tell them.
The max rent increase went down from 16% to 7%. But for most
I mean,
of
it's
us, that's
something, but it's still increasing.
The Rent Guidelines Board is meeting again this Thursday at 5 p.m. at St. Francis College in Brooklyn.
Okay, well, unfortunately, we're a little late with this, so it is what it is. But yeah.
We need as many New Yorkers as possible to show up and prevent this from happening. I'll be outside St. Francis College at 5 p.m. this Thursday. Tell your friends, let's show up in numbers and stop this from happening. Click the link in my bio for more info.
Man, I don't know what I'm going to name this episode, and I hope I remember the names. I often forget them. But one of the names is going to be like, what is even going on anymore? Or like another one is going to be like something about rent. I don't even know. Like, or maybe the title might be like, is it too late? Because we're already just fucked. But anyway, very nice video from Chiose here. Full support from my youngins over here. My generation. Hopefully we'll beat this shit. Again, remember what I always say. Tough times make tough men. Tough men make easy times. We're in tough times, so what are we going to make soon? Easy times, hopefully. We just got to get through the tough times. I pray.
Do you think
No,
it's
I don't.
humane to work every day, all day, just to make ends meet? I work
Oh, look,
every
this is...
day, Monday
Oh,
through
my
Sunday, 8
Jesus.
a.m. to 10 p.m. Do you think I have a life?
Okay, hold on. We gotta restart the video here. Also, let me put myself to do not disturb. I forgot to do that. But anyway, yeah, so we just talked about this literal rent increase right here. So let's see this.
To work every day, all day, just to make ends meet.
No.
I work every day, Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
That is a sad existence. Because think about it like this, right? She works from 8 to 10. So does that include travel time? I don't know. Let's be lenient and say it does, even though it probably doesn't. Let's say it does, right? Okay, 8 to 10. That's 14 hours of work. After 14 hours of working, assuming travel time is in there, which again, it's probably not, at that point, if you want to get what is recommended, which is 8 to maybe 7 hours sleep, does she not have chores? Does she not have, food to make? I'm pretty sure she can't afford to order out. Does she not have to clean? Like, does she not have to live like a human being? Right? Does she have someone taking care of all these things? Cooking, cleaning, and stuff? Does she not have a life outside of work? Well, probably not, no. But, like, this is such a sad, depressing existence. And the worst part is, where's the light at the end of the tunnel? Was it all for? It's not for you, because at the end of the day, all you're going to get is you're going to keep working hard like this, and you're not going to be able to afford anything. So eventually, until you get kicked out of your home and you become homeless and you lose your job, you're going to keep making money for the rich person. But you're going to see no benefit of it. In fact, the only thing you're getting is a detriment. But the only benefit you're kind of getting is, oh, you're not going to get like homeless yet. Your homelessness is going to be pushed back a little bit. But then what ends up happening is you have a choice. Either be homeless or be in debt. And if they have you in debt, they have you for the rest of your life. But anyway, let's keep seeing what's going to happen here. This is sad.
Do you think I have a life? I have to survive. I just left work to come here to speak up for the people that couldn't come here. Do you think that's fair?
Thank you for your testimony.
No, I'm not finished. Because you, the Rent Guidelines Board, which is, you started in 1960 to help us and hear us from the tenants. And
that ain't
instead,
what they
rent
doing.
has risen. What are you doing to support us? I implore you to not increase the rent and roll back the rent.
Thank you.
The fact that they're increasing rent when people are literally not making it, it's baffling to me. Like, I want to know the reasoning why they're increasing the rent. Is it because everything has gone up in cost? These people who the rent is getting paid to, they're not having an issue buying everything. They just want more money. Now, granted, there is one caveat to this. We are all in New York, and that means everything is expensive, even for landlords. The property tax alone is killing us, so,
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let me announce our next three speakers.
This guy legit sounds like a cuck. Like, he sounds like he just takes it up the ass and he's like a shill. But anyway, this is the biggest thing that pisses me off. You have stuff like this, like hearings and stuff, and then you have the strikes that we see. But It's getting to the point where these aren't doing anything. These aren't changing anything for the better. So it's really sad to see people show up to this and, like, you know, try their piece and stuff, but it's not making a difference. Like, this literally is for no reason other than, like, visuals for the rent board to say, oh, look, we listened to you guys, and based on what we heard from you guys, we're increasing the rent. The exact opposite thing of what you told us you wanted. So, you know, there you go. And it's like, what the fuck? What's the point of this? It doesn't make any sense. That, honestly, I think I'm gonna go with that for the title. It doesn't make any sense. We're in fucking La La Land. We're in fantasy world. We're in fucking clown world at this point. Things don't make sense anymore. They just don't. It's so stupid.
We're going to be hearing from... Thank you.
Do you think...
Like, this guy's not even getting angry. This guy's probably here saying, oh, I already got, like, my paycheck from the lobbyist to not do anything. So now I have to sit through this, like, 2-hour slugfest of people just saying roll back the rent, even though I have no intention of rolling it back. So this guy's just bored. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. Anyway, let's go back. Sorry, let's go next. Nice video.
Millennials are going to work. Millennials are going to work until they die, and Gen Z is going to have to work even longer, according to a new article released by Yahoo Finance.
Oh, and guess what I am? Gen Z.
Saying that millennials and Gen Z are going to have to save $3 million in order to retire comfortably by age 65.
By age 65. Many people at this point in time are running out of retirement. Like, the people who are retired now, they're somewhat running out of retirement because, again, inflation's going so crazy and Social Security doesn't pay you much. Pensions are disappearing. 401ks are disappearing. And it's a lot of self-directed stuff where a lot of people, like I said in a previous episode, don't know what the fuck they're doing, so they're not making a lot of money from their retirement anyway, if it's a simple IRA or whatever it is, right? Roth IRA, simple IRA, 401ks still do exist, but again, they're self-directed now. So a lot of people don't make as much as they would have if the company did it for them. Excuse me, or a financial fiduciary. We've described this in a previous episode, but anyway, how the fuck are we supposed to get to 3.5 million by the time we're 65, where people have to work well into their 70s and 80s? And we've seen pictures of it before on this series, where we see Walmart workers that are literal, like, old grandmas who are like 80s and 90s, and because people see them still working, they started GoFundMe so they could finally retire after 80 to 90 years old. Like, that's disgusting. Whoa.
If that doesn't blow your mind, let's look at some more facts, because this gets way darker really fast if we look at the details behind what they're saying here. First thing to point out is if you start working at age 20 and you never take a year off, or any time off for that matter, and you work until 65, that's 45 years of working 9 to 5, 5 days a week, maybe more than that. So
lovely. So not only did we go to school for the first, like, 18 to 21, but then we have to work. So for most of our life already, we are not doing things we wanted to do. We were forced to do things. Cool.
if you look at that 45-year span of working and you divide the $3 million you need to retire by those 45 years, you wind up with $66,000 a year you need to save in order to hit that $3 million.
So not even you need to make, you need to save, because I'll break it down like this. If you make $66,000 a year, you're not actually making $66,000. First of all, that's getting slashed by taxes. Then if you're taking healthcare because you can't get any of the free ones because you're not poor, quote unquote, that's getting slashed. So taxes and healthcare are taken out. Then if you want to save for retirement, that's the part where, like, finally you could save for retirement after all your other obligations of, oh, do you want to buy food? Do you want to watch TV and the internet? Do you want to go places? Do you want to live? Okay, cool. So at the end of the day, what's left for retirement is probably going to be like 10K or 20K a year if you're lucky, making 66K if you're scrapping by.
Thankfully, we don't have to save. We can invest in the market, which is going to help us hit this target.
Hey, that's what I say to do too.
So if we expect an average of 7% return every year compounded for those 45 years.
So this is where I think they're shooting a little bit low. I think the average rate of return of the market, if you invest in the S&P 500 index fund, typically is around 10%, 10 to 12%, I think. So they're lowballing it with 7, so this could actually be like better in reality. But let's see what he's going to come up with here.
You only need to invest about $800 per month in order to hit that $3 million target.
$800
But
per
the
month.
average American
Wow.
right now has less than $1,000 in saving. Not saving $1,000 every month. They're maintaining less than $1,000 total in savings. The total amount in savings month to month. So that $800 a month that needs to be invested. For millennials and Gen Z, where is that money going to come from? But before we answer that question, another question comes up. Millennials are now in their 30s, meaning they don't have 45 years to invest and save. They have 35 years. So I have on my computer this fancy investment calculator that's going to help us figure out how much millennials are going to have to put away and invest every month in order to hit that $3 million target. Since millennials only have 35 years to work with, assuming that we get a 7% annualized return on our money that we invest,
which is a little low,
millennials actually have to put away $1,700 per month.
So they basically have to pay double rent, which they already can't afford single rent. So this is where, obviously there's some people who do make this amount of money where they can afford to pay this, but it's not the majority. It is definitely not the majority. That is something that I do not have the facts for, but I can anecdotally say, using my logic that I know from living on this earth and in America, that most people do not make this amount of money. Some do, but they're the minority.
In order to hit that target that Yahoo Finance says we need to hit in order to retire at 65. $1,700 per month comes out to an extra $20,000 per year that millennials have got to sock away. But that's assuming an inflation rate of 0%. National inflation,
which literally is never the case. Inflation is never at 0.
Is supposed to be around 2.7% per year on average.
So
when we update those numbers, it means that millennials
recently, because of the whole pandemic and the economy fucking itself, it's been above 5.
30 or older need to actually be investing and saving $4,400 per month because we don't have that extra 10 years of compounded interest to help us get to that $3 million. But thanks to our wise and generous politicians who have been printing money at an unprecedented pace to send it to Ukraine, to send it to fund foreign wars, and who also use that printed money to send to the Pentagon, who's never passed an audit. Inflation in the United States is actually sitting around 7% per year, and it's only getting worse. So when we adjust all of this on our fancy retirement calculator, it means that for millennials to get to that $3 million retirement nest egg, while fighting inflation that's out of control, we need to be investing over $10,000 per month, because this little green line here on this graph shows what we are left with after inflation. The blue line shows what would happen if we didn't have any inflation to combat, but we just broke the calculator. Like, this thing won't even calculate more than $10,000 saved and invested per month. It maxes out at $10,000 being invested per month.
If you're making more than 10K a month, you're fucking rich. Like, if you can invest more than $10,000 a month into the stock market, this isn't for you. You don't need a fucking retirement. You're good.
At a 7% annualized return, with an expected inflation rate of 7%, that means by 65, you've only got $1.6 million that has accumulated by saving and
what the fuck
investing, which is half of what Yahoo Finance says you need in order to retire. We literally broke the investing calculator here. So let's all really hope that Walmart stops closing stores in the communities that are getting looted every day, because we're all gonna need those Walmart greeting jobs. When we all hit 65, like, that's gonna be the place to be. So everybody, stop stealing from your local businesses, because being like, hello, welcome to Walmart, for the rest of your life is your new retirement plan, because
that's what we have to look forward to.
Obviously, saving and investing in this environment isn't gonna cut it, according to the numbers that Yahoo Finance told us we need to hit in order to even retire. God bless America.
God bless America. I love this guy. So, you know, even though I still, regardless of this video, I still recommend people invest, because think about this, right? Investing is your best shot at making it. It might not make it. It might not help you make it by this logic, right? But from what this guy showed. And again, we can't take it fully as truthful. We have to take it with a grain of salt. But, excuse me. But, think about if you just left the money in a bank account. A bank account, right now, because the Fed rate is so high, is having unprecedented levels of interest rate, which it hasn't had in, like, almost 40 years, right? So the usual interest rate is like, we'll say right now it's about 4 to 5%, which is still less than the market's expected return he used of 7. So if you have it in a savings account, yeah, it's more secure, but it's still less than what you had there. So again, having it in the market, it's a little shaky because it's the market, but the market generally keeps going up. So this is going to give you the best shot surviving because things are not set in stone. You know, inflation sometimes does go down and the stock market sometimes does go crazy. So again, even though he's using like what ifs, these what ifs are not definite, and the stock market, as dangerous as it is, it will give you the best chance, I believe, of being able to make it if we can last that long, if we don't kill each other. But anyway, really nice video, really showing us things are just fucked. What the fuck do we do? Oh my god, okay, this shit's loud. Okay. Proof that society is terrifying. Let's see this. Ready? These are about to be good too. This is Caleb. Caleb has a degree in zoology. Yeah, good luck, Caleb. And asks his customers what their favorite animal is. He gives them facts while completing their orders. Oh my god, I feel so bad for Caleb, bruh. Like, I feel so bad for Caleb. He seems like such a nice person, too. Like, people who have good people skills in fast food jobs are really, really cool, nice people. Because those jobs make you depressed and they make you hate people. So the fact that, like, he's nice and he's doing this, it really makes me feel bad for him. And this brings up a thing about the zoology major, or just any major in general. I gotta lower this shit some more, fuck. Okay, well, I don't want to mute it, but there we go. This is where these majors, people ask, why'd you do this, why'd you do that? Well, oh, aren't we supposed to do what we like? To not be, like, depressed and hate our lives? Well, yeah, but also do what makes money, right? But at this point, we don't need to have things be this way, and that's the biggest thing I've said before too. Things don't need to be this way. We've solved the problem of there's not enough food there. We've solved the problem of conquering nature. We've solved all these problems where now the only problems here are arbitrary problems we choose to have because the rich want them there to make our lives difficult and to get more rich, right? These problems don't need to be problems, but they are because we choose them to be at this point. They don't have to be. And I'm just sad for Caleb because more people should be able to do whatever major they want to learn about, not the major they want to take to make a living, which, you know, realistically, engineer, doctor, lawyer, there you go, right? But if you don't want to do those three, you have fun working at Starbucks. But it's like, you know, we're in a time where people should be able to learn about what they want to, not what they have to. But unfortunately, as we can see with Caleb, that's not the case. I feel very bad for him. Next. 8 guys in this country have more money than 4 billion people combined, but yeah, the mom buying groceries with the food stamps is the problem. Ooh, okay, that might get me into trouble. I don't want to talk about this. I have 1,000 Mars bars in my fridge and my mate has one in his. I pressured him into giving his to a homeless person. This is how celeb charity appeals work. That's very true. Okay, so CNN. Scared by the new report on climate change? Here's what you can do to help. Eat less meat, 30%. Swap your car or plane ride for a bus or train. Use a smart thermostat. And this guy commented, reminder that 100 corporations are responsible for 71% of global greenhouse gas emissions, and presenting the crisis as a moral failing on the part of individuals without noting this fact is journalistic malpractice. I don't know if Adam over here is actually correct. I mean, he is verified, but nowadays you could buy that, so I don't really know. But, yeah, assuming this is true, assuming he's not lying to us, he's right. You know, I think he's right. I think a lot of these corporations try and put the blame on us because, as I always say, what I learned in media, blame the other side for what you're doing. And it works every time. Excuse me. Teen can't stay on transplant list without a stable home, so his teacher is adopting him. So fucking sad. Apparently in the USA, you have to pay for an ambulance. Like, if there's an accident and you call an ambulance, it costs $500. The fuck? So obviously this guy's not from the United States. It's actually $2,000. I'm reading my notifications and this shit looks like an auction. 500, 800, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000. We have 5,000, yes, 6,000, 7,000. Calling an ambulance for $7,000. So this is where I think collectively everyone colloquially agrees. Healthcare in America costs the most, gives you the least, and it's just the shittiest around. Like, it makes no sense. And it makes sense actually because the healthcare industry lobbies a lot of the government so they can get a lot of money from us. And things can't change because things are copyrighted and there's monopolies. So it does make sense. But yeah, America is so shitty with its healthcare. I lost mine recently too. While considering the hashtag admissions scandal, don't forget there are black mothers in prison for up to 5 years for using a different address to send their children to better schools than the chronically underperforming ones in their district. They call it stealing an education. Just think about that. You're stealing an education, something that should be guaranteed for people. I can't even blame the mothers here because what are they doing? They want to give a child the best shot at life that they can, and they know if they send them to some crappy ass school, and again, I have experience with this because I live in the Bronx, there's crappy ass schools here. And they don't want to send them to the crappy ass school where they might get mugged or shanked, right? They want to send them to a good school so they can actually learn and potentially have a good life. Shocker. And they get sent to jail for it, for stealing an education. Fucking crazy. Pay for your education with blood. No, really. I wish America would build a Thunderdome so impoverished students could fight to the death over free tuitions. They already have Iraq for that. And you know what's crazy? They're not wrong. But look at this ad, by the way. Look at how like dystopian this is. Oh, do you need books? Do you need money? Oh, don't worry, donate plasma. And you only get $250 after you donate 5 times. You know how valuable plasma is? Like, that's what they take from me, and I have apparently the best plasma, like, out of every blood type. And they beg me for it, but they're only gonna give you $250 after 5 donations. It's actually crazy. Anyway, mother had to pay $39.35 to hold her child after giving birth. Ignore the grammar there. Bro. Skin to skin after C-section. How does that cost money? This is crazy. So how long until GoFundMe is our nation's leading healthcare provider? Great question. Hey YouTube, maybe don't put ads before first aid vids. I don't have time to watch a Red Lobster ad while my gran is choking on a fish bone. Wow. Why would YouTube remove that? How are they gonna make their money? Did you know our servers survive on your tipping kindness? Yeah, because the restaurant doesn't want to pay them. I don't even want to get into tipping culture because that's a whole other mess. Budweiser just spent $5 million on a commercial to brag about donating 100K worth of water. Insane. Plan B is a personal robotic bee designed to mimic how bees pollinate flowers and crops. Instead of saving the environment and helping actual bees, let's spend billions on robots that do what bees would do for free. This is fucking crazy. Wall Street. Help! Help! We're gonna die! We need money! The government gives them $700 billion. Students with loans. Help! Help! We're going to die! We need money! And then the government does nothing. But anyway, all great pictures. Again, take them all with a grain of salt, but I believe they're all pretty true.
I wonder why the Pentagon's failed 5 audits in a row.
So as we've seen before, our government has not passed a single audit to where the money's going. And like I said, I've said this before, but like I've said in this episode with the Supreme Court justices, if anyone else broke federal law, they'd go to jail. The justices don't. If anyone else failed an audit, they'd go to jail. The people leading our government, who are in charge of the audits, don't.
A part called a linear actuating cap. It's used in the Eagle F-15 and the Stratolifter C-135.
Oh,
it costs the company only $135 to produce. Now,
whoa.
Mr. Stein, how much did TransDigm charge the Pentagon for this $135 part?
About 10% less than what we charged the commercial world for this part.
So this is where this guy is doing. This is where if I was a ruler, right? And this guy gave that answer, if there was not like physical punishment in my land, this guy would instantly get sent to jail for not only like lying and being sly about it, but for being a greedy fucker. So he's saying, so in general, let's go into the economics of this, right? The economics is this part cost $135 to make, I believe, right? 135. Obviously, that's what it costs to make. There needs to be a profit, right? So you're gonna charge above $135. So how much is he charging? Oh, 10% less than everyone else. Okay, so because everyone else is doing something evil and you're doing slightly less evil, isn't it still evil? Yes. Now, we don't even know the price yet. Let's see the price. Remember, $135 to make. I'll be generous and say you can charge a little over double for it, which I would still say is wrong. But if something costs $135 to make and you're charging $300 to the government, I think that's fair. Let's see what they're charging them.
Do you know how much that was?
About 10% less, yeah.
So about $7,495.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's a profit margin about 3,850%. Mr. Howley, what was your compensation in 2020?
That's a public number, so you probably have it. I'm not looking at it. I think it was 6.
Like, look at this. Look at this. These guys are assholes. They're answering in such asshole-ish ways because she knows, like, they know what she's doing. Obviously, she has an agenda to either A, make them look stupid, or B, make them look obviously corrupt, which they are. But at this point, they're trying to fight it. For what reason? You guys are the villains. I mean, obviously, no one's going to just sit down and take it, even if they are the villain. But, like, bro. Oh, well, I don't know my payment. You don't know how much you used to be paid? He's probably working at the same damn company. I mean, granted, again, when you're this rich, like, you know, millions of dollars don't really matter to you. You know what the crazy part is, too? These are the people that don't make a lot of the stuff. They're the people that do make big decisions, yeah. But the actual people making the stuff that's making the money that's, you know, getting sold, it's not them. They're providing very little in terms of actual, like, value. But then again, it goes into, how big do you value the decisions?
68 million?
68 million.
Mr. Stein, what was your compensation in 2020?
I think you have it. It was somewhere around 20 million.
Okay. And TransDigm, it does seem that in 2020, TransDigm did lay off its employees during this time as well. The company fired about 30% of its workforce in order to maintain a revenue stream. Is that correct?
Profit margins.
Yes, I believe those numbers are accurate.
And even while the government paid TransDigm $1.5 billion in cash as part of a pandemic debt buyback program to prevent precisely those layoffs from occurring, you took home a total of $90 million in compensation during that time. The spare parts that TransDigm supplied to the U.S. military were used in Afghanistan, correct?
I don't know the answer, but I would presume probably.
Honestly, I don't fault him for this. I don't know if he knows
TransDigm has supplied the U.S.
that.
military with spare parts for aircraft, such as the AH-64 Apache, the C-17
The
Globemaster
Apache.
III, the F-16 Fighting Falcon, and the CH-47 Chinook, correct?
Yeah.
I believe so. I don't know that whole list, but
I don't blame him if he doesn't know that.
Each of those aircraft were used in Afghanistan. Now, TransDigm is the sole supplier for many of the spare parts that the Pentagon needs for these aircraft. Well, I have some numbers here to give us an idea. According to the Wall Street Journal, since 2001, military outsourcing has pushed Pentagon spending to about $14 trillion. That's 12 zeros.
14 trillion. That's almost near how much we're in debt. That's about half of how much we're in debt. At least last time I heard. Could be more now.
And to give a comparison, even after averaging out that number over 20 years, that's at least 12 times the amount that we spend on an essential program like SNAP. The United States,
We love war.
and the U.S. government hid the real price tag of our war in Afghanistan in contracts with private companies. Like yours. The U.S. military's reliance on contractors has led to the rise in a camo economy, in which the U.S. government camouflages the costs of war that might reduce public support for it.
I wonder why the Pentagon's failed 5 audits in a row.
I wonder why too. So as we can see, we love war. We love war. People are corrupt. Again, we know these things. Will this change anything? I don't think so. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, we listen to these things and we know it's happening and we just can't stop it. It's so sad.
We're seeing data right now that 25% of millennials, their parents are paying for their housing. And
Yeah, you know why? Because we can't afford it, you fucker. This is another rich asshole. So this is where the older generation, some of them are in tune with how things are. A lot of them aren't. Dave Ramsey is not. Dave Ramsey is a special one, just like Mr. Wonderful.
one way or another. Let me just tell you, moms and dads, not good.
Yeah, not good. Let your child out on the street. Let him get on Trank. Remember Trank, guys? Remember in the previous episode, we showed off Trank? The drug that, like, is making you like a zombie with open flesh wounds? Yeah, just let him on the street. Let him start doing that because they need some relief mentally.
They are much better off to face some calluses, some stress, some hard times, make some hard choices.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe sell a kidney or two. Yeah, maybe that's what Dave Ramsey wants.
Stand up and square their shoulders and be a man, be a woman, instead of a child.
Well, see, if we're saying be a woman, back in the day, when he probably bought the houses, what was a woman? A person who stayed inside the house and cared for the house. So a woman can't afford a house now, based on his thing.
I have a serious philosophical issue with the idea that the best way to help people is by not helping them.
Yeah, just like our government says.
That somehow kindness and generosity will destroy society.
It'll make us lazy. This is where we've shown previously, right? That when people raise the minimum wage for their jobs to actual livable wages, people come and cry wolf saying, oh, this is going to ruin the economy. Excuse me. This is where a lot of things that have come out that have been really good, really helpful, literally technological advancements meant to make our lives easier, are called bad for the economy because people think it's going to make people stop working. I'll give you the example. When I think TVs and radios came out, people said those were terrible. Like, they started relating it to religion and Satan and stuff. And they said, like, this is bad. This cannot continue. We need to just cut it out of society. Lo and behold, look where we're at now. Same things with calculators. People said calculators are cheating. Now we use calculators all the time. People said you can't have your phone now. You can't use your phone. You need to memorize stuff because it's not like you're going to have all the information at your fingertips. Now we do. People then said, oh, you can't Google stuff. Googling's bad. They teach you how to use Google in schools now. There's internet classes now. All these things that come out that are supposed to help us are demonized at first, and then they come back and they're shown to actually be good. And I don't understand how this is a process or why this is the process.
Seriously, you
well, I kind of do.
Sound like a Disney villain. Self-sufficiency is not an evolutionary prerogative. It is
we have evolved to be altruistic, and that's one of the main things aside from our brain development that has caused us to be dominant. It's our altruism. Altruism is not found much in nature, but where it is found, it's shown to thrive.
An antisocial ideology.
And there's many different types of altruism, but I'm not going to get into it now.
Humans evolved to live in interdependent communities where everyone was responsible for each other's well-being for the entire duration of their lives.
Yes.
We did not evolve to stand on our own 2 feet, which is precisely what makes it so hard to fend for ourselves.
Especially
and
in this
I take
day and
particular
age.
issue with the idea that giving someone a taste of food and housing insecurity is precisely the push they need to become an upstanding member of society. If it were effective, then quite frankly, it would be working. Not helping people isn't helpful. It's inhuman. It shows a lack of character, not a strength of character.
Facts. And I don't know if we saw this yet in the episodes, but there was an argument made, and I believe in the Senate or something, where they were saying like, oh, we can't pay them a minimum wage, or we can't forgive student loan debt. What about the ones who came before them? And then the guy who was like arguing this said, by this logic, like people of color shouldn't have been allowed to vote because people before them didn't get to vote. By this logic, nothing can get fixed because like people missed out on it beforehand. So going forward, everyone has to keep like suffering. Like, what the fuck is this? I'm gonna name the episode that. What is this? What is this?
This is terrifying. So you remember this model that was created by scientists predicting what gamers would look like in 20 years? Well, if you look at one...
Oh, hold up. Nah. Galinita. Like I said, we started early and now the good nights are coming out.
feature on the head, which we all laughed at the time. They predicted that gamers would develop a dent on the top of their head from wearing their headset for so long. Well, we may have to eat our words because Twitch streamer Kurtos recently shaved his head for charity and discovered that he developed an indent on the top of his head. And then just to make it worse, a whole bunch more streamers and gamers started posting their indents.
Dude, Tim the Tapman's one on the right looks the worst. Like, that honestly looks photoshopped, but I don't think it is.
Saying, welcome to the...
But this is where I think a lot of people just have, like, fat heads. Because I look at my own head, and granted, I do have a lot of hair now, so maybe the hair cushions it, but I don't have this indent yet, and I've played games my entire fucking life. So I think they just have fat heads because they're not really athletic in a sense. Like, you know, they don't exercise, they probably don't diet right. Maybe Nick Merckx does, so, excuse me, obviously his dent is not as bad, but I think the dent goes away if you leave it, right? If you don't put on headphones, I think it'll go away.
The club. So the question is, are we actually on track to look like this by 2040?
So, yeah, this was just to lighten the mood a little bit, even though it still was depressing, but, you know, secretly they actually, got commissioned to make this guy right here. The way this guy looks is actually a rendition of me in real life. I actually look like this, believe it or not, so that's me. But anyway, let's go next.
The Atlanta City Council just approved Cop City, the $90 million police militarization facility for police to train in urban warfare. Community members and activists lined up to speak to oppose the building of the facility.
Spending $60 million, 60 million taxpayer dollars on a new police training facility is the most heartbreaking, reckless, and quite frankly, anti-black thing this city has ever proposed in my lifetime.
Atlanta only has one.
Yeah, and guess what? No matter how many people show up and try and argue this, it won't matter. It doesn't matter.
Level 1 trauma hospital in the metro Atlanta area. But you want $60 million to Cop City.
Testimony went well until 3 a.m. with 210 people speaking against the facility.
Like, bro, I don't get it. Like, I honestly feel bad for these people because they're staying there till 3 a.m. They're arguing this shit. But for what? All the arguing, all the things you're telling these people, obviously it's not convincing them because either A, they don't care, or B, they're bought out. So it's like, these people are just wasting their time arguing this. Because at the end of the day, they're just going to sit here, listen to all the arguments, be like, okay, thanks everyone for your input. Let's go through with it. Boom. Cop City. It's like, what the hell?
And hundreds more outside that were denied entry. The Atlanta City Council ultimately voted to approve tens of millions of dollars to go to the project, despite the intense public outcry and opposition. This vote came on the heels of the recent arrests of the 3 organizers who led the Atlanta Solidarity Fund, which had provided bail money and helped find attorneys for arrested protesters. But the community is not giving up. Organizers filed a petition with the city of Atlanta that starts the process of getting the issue of building Cop City on the November ballot.
Yeah, and when it's on the ballot, guess what? They're not going to vote against it. Like, I don't understand. Do people not realize this isn't working?
They say the struggle doesn't end here.
Yeah, we're trying to get a people's referendum on the ballot. The Georgia Constitution allows for a ballot initiative. We see that as the next legal mechanism in order to get Cop City built or stop from Cop City from being built. So that is what we're trying to do. There's going to continue to be street protests. There's going to continue to be actions. There's a week of action coming up. But we also want to make sure that we have a direct path.
Like, what is even going on here anymore? Oh, thank you. Like, at this point, right? What's the whole point of them even doing this? Like, do they think it's going to work? If they think it's going to work, you know, I'm happy for them. But this is where, again, I make this series to try and get people in reality, to show people how things are and what's going on. A lot of these things aren't working because they don't matter. It doesn't matter. If you tell the guy, you know, every argument in the book, but he just doesn't care, it's not mattering. These people don't represent us. Really good video. Let's go next.
Hello. The
Hello.
Earth's check engine light came on.
Ah, yes, the environment.
Because stuff has happened.
No
So what's
way.
up? A portion of I-95 has collapsed.
Okay, so he went over this before, but I guess now he's actually going to give us more info.
But no one could tell because the traffic remained at a standstill. That's a joke. People could very much tell. From the fire, a tanker caught fire below an overpass that served I-95. And then that collapsed. And now you can't drive there. It is precisely not very good. All right, this Reddit situation has gotten seriously wackadoo. So Reddit was making some changes with the user base.
Yeah, this Reddit shit is actually insane. And this is where I'm noticing more and more, like, it started very low, like not low, but it started in like very little areas. Like Starbucks, I always remember like there's always been people trying to union for Starbucks, and like it's been Starbucks versus like the union people, and like Starbucks is like shitting on them, right? Then I heard it was Amazon shitting on people. Then I heard it was Google, then Microsoft, then all the big tech companies that were, you know, firing people. And now that AI is coming out, a lot of companies are firing their employees. I've always heard like it's always big companies versus people, but as time has gone on to the recent time now, I'm just hearing it more and more that like all these big companies, because again, look at the Writers Guild. Now Hollywood is against the writers. Reddit is against the user base. Like, it's actually crazy how much just conflict we're getting into versus all these big entities.
Base very much did not like. And so the user base was like, we're going to protest by taking a bunch of very popular subreddits private. So many subreddits went dark on the first day that Reddit crashed. And so a bunch of the volunteer moderator staff at Reddit were like, hey, we're the beating heart of your app. You should listen to us. But the Reddit CEO was like, nah. And so what was previously a 2-day blackout protest is turning into an indefinite protest.
And this is where I think they're finally learning. Again, I don't think this is enough. I don't think the indefinite protest is enough. But from what they were doing before a 2-day protest, these companies are going to either A, say that they care when they really don't, or they're going to do what the Reddit CEO did and just say that they don't care. It doesn't matter. What is 2 days to these people? Okay, you want to bitch and moan for 2 days and then go back to normal? Go ahead, right? That's fine. Indefinite, that's sending a message. I don't think it's enough, but it's a message.
Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Mike Pence, and Donald Trump all had classified documents that they shouldn't have had in their possession. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Mike Pence turned those documents over when that was found. Trump, according to his indictment, made the conscientious decision to hide half of the documents that he had when investigators came to collect them. He then lied to the investigators about the existence of the documents that he was hiding away, and they were like, okay, well, we're going to go through the documents that you do have. They went through the documents, they found classified stuff, and he was like, is it bad? Is it bad? Like, that's a quote. The investigators went back to their investigator home, and they were like, we did a search. But stuff is still missing. And so they got a warrant and they raided Mar-a-Lago and found the documents that he actively hid. At the same time, Trump is on tape being aware that he was taped, saying that he shouldn't have the documents that he has, and saying he doesn't have the power to declassify it anymore. This dude was waving around top secret documents with military intelligence to show off. He showed military intelligence to Kid Rock, and even Kid Rock had the wherewithal to say, I don't think I should be seeing this.
This is clown reality. We are living in clown reality. This sounds like it's fake. This sounds like it's something the Writer Guild made up to like make a new movie for Hollywood. Like, our former president lied while knowing he was being taped about committing a crime, and he showed it to Kid Rock. And Kid Rock said, what the hell is this? We're living in clown universe.
Notably, this has had virtually no impact on the Republican primary.
And you know what's crazy? I honestly think one of the biggest reasons Trump has not gone to jail is there's two. Two reasons he's not gone to jail is, number one, he's so good with his fucking mouth. And not in the way you're thinking. In the way of speaking, not the other way. Where, like, he knows how to maneuver around people, and this leads to the second thing of he might honestly become president again. The Republicans might be keeping him out of jail because they might need him. Because at the end of the day, if he's out of there, they might lose to the Democrats, and they would rather keep a criminal out of jail than lose to the Democrats. It's actually crazy how our country works. Clown Universe might be the title of this episode.
He still has a double-digit lead according to polling. On this day, in the year 1954, Congress amended the Pledge of Allegiance to add the phrase, under God.
Yes, the separation of state and religion right there.
This move was essentially done as a pushback against communism because it just lumped together all the boogeymen. Communism, Marxism, atheism, like, they like to do that.
Yeah, what about capitalism?
They're like, nah, we're ordained. Capitalism is the righteous way.
Yes.
Nestle owns rivers because God says so. Lightning
Yes.
Pat Sajak has announced that he'll be finally retiring from Wheel of Fortune after this next season. That was the weather. An LA City Council member has been charged with 10 criminal counts, including embezzlement. Fox News has sent Tucker Carlson a cease and desist as he is trying to launch his new show on Twitter. And finally for today, as a cost-cutting measure, the pizza chain Domino's is pulling out of Denmark. Check out my Patreon.
Damn. Sorry, Denmark. Oh my god, we're getting a close-up of this guy's face. Anyway, this video is amazing. Tells us a lot of news quickly in a very easy to digest way. And we see a lot of it's fucked. Cool. Let's go next.
A hole at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean has been discovered, and here's why scientists are worried it could trigger a catastrophic mega-earthquake on the US coast. The hole was originally discovered in 2015, 50 miles off Newport, Oregon. But new research shows that this leak may be coming from the dreaded Cascadia subduction zone, commonly referred to as the big one. You see, subduction zone earthquakes are the largest and most destructive on Earth. Think Japan in 2011. Now imagine this fluid which is gushing violently out of this subduction zone as lubricant, which allows the rock plates to move smoothly relative to each other. But now researchers are saying if there's less of this fluid due to the leak, stress can build, which could trigger a mega.
See, what fluid is in there? Isn't it just water?
Quake. And just to top it all off, the average length of time between subduction zone quakes in this area is 246 years. We are currently on year 323. And because of how overdue we are, scientists say there's a 37% chance shit's gonna go down within the next 50 years. So someone, please, plug that hole.
Okay. Like, what the fuck, bruh? Like, I don't like living near the coast. I mean, I don't like living in New York either, but I don't like living in a coast because I'm scared of the ocean and, you know, water levels are rising. But Jesus Christ, am I glad I'm on the East Coast, not the West Coast. We on the West Side. That's the best side. But anyway, yeah, it's not looking fun over there on the West Coast. Like, from what I can tell, and again, this is where they're long overdue for a tragedy, it sounds like. They about to get wiped off the fucking earth soon. Like, they about to get the big kahuna wave. But yeah, nature's fighting back, so cool. Let's go next. Also, before we go next, this guy here, user 94858596598844Y, has an OG Xbox 360 profile pic. That's actually crazy. That brings so many memories back in my childhood. And it made me sad because that's when I was happy and now I'm not. But anyway, let's keep going.
Elon Musk's $10,000 house has finally hit the market.
Okay. So this is something I saw, and we're actually gonna do a little segment here live. I'm gonna call getting the fuck off TikTok. But more on that when this is finished.
Wall is unfolded and in turn becomes a floor revealing the two side walls. Once you unfold the roof, it covers the whole structure. The box home is composed of 5 rooms. You will find a living room, kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, and a media room. Inside the house, you will discover several gadgets every home should own, such as a dishwasher, washing machine, a refrigerator, an oven, a microwave, and a built-in ironing center. The entire house is equipped with low energy technology to reduce the utility bill paid on a monthly basis that costs around $250.
Insane.
The home requires some lifting by machinery, but most of the other things can be set up by human beings and can take about an hour to complete.
Insane. This thing, how much
Elon
was
Musk's
this?
$10,000 house has finally hit
$10,000, right? I don't know how this is $10 or $10,000 because I looked this up at the time and it was way more than $10. But this is where like if this is true, we finally have, and I feel like this is the common thing that's gonna happen, right? When a billionaire, not necessarily Elon, but one of them figures out, hey, there's a lot of money to be made by selling people cheap housing, they're gonna do it, right? I mean, honestly, that might disrupt the rent industry, which, you know, good luck with that. That's a behemoth all on its own. But if somehow they're able to get past that, this is such a thing that will benefit both parties. It will give people money, it will give the billionaires money, and it will give people actual fucking homes, which they need. And this home, I'll be honest, does not look bad. Like, obviously, it's probably not going to look like that in reality. But, like, just look at this shit. This shit looks amazing. For 10K, like, it's obviously not that big, but if you're alone or just with a significant other, not a family, like, this is perfectly fine, I would say. Like, honestly, this is amazing, and it's only 10K, and it has all this technology. This is something I wish was, like, here now. Excuse me. And I wish it's affordable. So let's actually see. So it's called Boxable, and it's apparently 40K, which I think is the actual price. But let's see. Elon Musk portable house. So now it's $50,000. Now we're seeing, okay, so we're seeing 15,000, 50,000. Let's see. So it's called Boxable. Boxable houses. Is this it? Accessory dwelling unit. Delivered to you. So this is real. This is actually, oh, wait, maybe it's not because it says invest now. Okay. Like, look at this shit. This shit is insane. It's literally a pre-built house. This looks amazing inside, too. I mean, it's probably not going to look like this, but rooms that can stack and connect to create almost any get the fuck out of here. Any building type. Like, if this is true, this is actually insane. I don't know what Elon has to do with this, though, but what is this? The Casita? Our first product, the Casita. Like, what? How much does this cost? I want to see this. Fuck, it doesn't tell us. Oh, you need a $200 deposit. It's pre-built in our factory, so it can be installed on your site in less than a day. This is insane. Like, look at this shit. Look at the inside. I don't know if it comes with all the furniture, but, like, this is actually insane. I really, really hope this is the way of the future, because, like, look at this shit. It can open up, too. It's fucking so, like, cool. A stair box? You could literally buy DLC for your building. Think about that. You could buy DLC for your building. You could buy a master bedroom, a stair box. Oh, you can even have a kitchen if you want. Yo, I gotta see how much this costs. Boxable Casita cost. Let me see. What is the lifespan of a boxable? It's a lifetime. I would hope so. You will need permits from your city to put a boxable in your backyard. But how much is it? Oh my god. Okay, there's the price. There's the price. Oh my god. 54 to almost 100. Honestly, it's still more affordable than these fucking houses on the market right now. This is actually crazy. But anyway, yeah, so this is real. Yo, get the fuck out of here. I don't even know what this is. Did I click something by accident? But anyway, yeah. Really cool. Really cool thing. A light kind of in the dimension, but, you know, a lot more expensive than 10,000. If it was 10,000, I'd be like, this solves a lot of problems. But even then, you know, the average American doesn't even have 1,000, so.
We have a mental health crisis, but underneath the mental health crisis, honestly, we have an economic crisis.
At least someone's saying it now. Good old Dr. K, baby. I love Dr. K.
Generation of young people who cannot work hard to achieve satisfaction.
And this is where I'm going to argue here again. I like to be, like, honest here. He's not completely right with what he's saying. There are people who work hard and make it, but they do need a lot of luck and to work extremely hard in the right field. You can't work hard everywhere, and even if you're in the right field and you work hard, sometimes you're just unlucky, right? And more often than not, that's what's happening now, but you still can work hard and get lucky. It's just not that prevalent anymore.
Or security. That's the biggest problem with mental health right now. Was that if
That's
your
true.
life sucked and you were depressed, like 100 years ago or 50 years ago, let's say 50 years ago, you could do something to change it.
Yes.
Right? How hard you work.
And also, if you were, you know, eating shit and depressed, your eating shit and depressed was, oh, I might be able to buy a home in 20, 30 years if I work, right? If I work my, like, common man's job. Now, you will never be able to afford anything besides crippling debt if you work a good job. So it's like, again, what's the reason, man?
Work changes the circumstances of your life.
Oh,
the
yes.
challenge right now, that honestly, that I see is that you can work really hard and, like, it's not clear that that will actually substantially improve things. That you
Honestly,
can't pay effort for security.
Yep.
And that's
For most
devastating.
people.
It's
For
not even
most
about
people.
money, it's about security.
Yeah.
You have a mental health.
Like, it's crazy. We have so many crises. I like how the first comment is just capitalism. Anyway, what is the second comment? Dr. K concluding Marxism through the route of psychology wasn't something I thought possible, but here we are. It's crazy. And look, this comment right here. The harder I work, my boss gets richer while my pay stays the same. Mwah. Perfect. Perfect comment.
The United States government is currently being hit by a massive global cyber attack that's reportedly exploiting a vulnerability in widely used software. It's believed that Chinese-affiliated hackers are behind the attacks and are attempting espionage, and hundreds of organizations around the world have also been hit by this cyber attack. This is all developing, so follow to stay in the loop.
So, you know, at this point, what bad thing isn't happening? There's so many bad things happening that, number one, is it getting reported on? And number two, you know, do we even know about it? Because there's so many things happening, and some of them are true, some of them are untrue. Just imagine what we don't know about. Like, there's always some bullshit going on in Clown Universe right now. Anyway.
Starbucks is racist against white people. Also, I feel...
Whoa! You can't be racist against white people, though.
I feel like I need to clarify, this is not my new Thursday segment, Phil's out-of-nowhere racially charged opinion, but rather, that is what a court just ruled. And ironically enough, this story, this news, it begins with the company allegedly being racist toward black people. Because back in 2018, 2 black men entered a Starbucks in Philadelphia with one of them asking to use the restroom. But with neither of them making a purchase, a couple minutes later, the manager, who was white, wouldn't let them use the restroom, instead calling 911 and complaining that they wouldn't leave. And so the
Okay, so, just from the story already, I'll tell you this. Regardless of skin tones, I don't care who's white, who's black, who's anything. Just according to the rules, this is where the manager's an asshole, but they are within their legal right. This is where it's sad, right? Because let's say this. Let's say the manager is under scrutiny. And if the manager lets them use the bathroom, they get yelled at, possibly fired. You know, who knows the situation, right? But it is against the rules to let a person use the bathroom if they don't make a purchase. Now, honestly, many people wouldn't give a fuck. They'd let them use it. But I won't say to anyone, like, oh, don't worry about losing your job, just let me do this. What kind of argument is that, right? So even though it's a little bit of an asshole thing to do, I honestly side with the manager here, where, hey, sorry, we can't let you use it, you have to buy something. Like, oh, you can't just let us in? Oh, sorry, it's the policy, like, if I don't do it, I'm going to get in trouble. And they didn't leave, so at that point, you have to call the police. They're not buying anything, they're just sitting in there, trying to use the bathroom, they're loitering. It sucks, but it is what it is.
So the cops arrived and they actually arrested both men. It was all...
I don't think they should get arrested, though.
All caught on video, that video going viral, provoking accusations of racism, with the police then quickly dropping the charges against the men that night, but the outrage against Starbucks continued, leading to days of protests at the location.
So at this point, you know what they should protest in Starbucks? They should let anyone use the bathroom. The whole reason why this whole thing of you have to be a paying customer to use the bathroom is to just furthermore, I think, hurt the homeless, honestly. It's like, oh, we know homeless people don't have a lot of money, so they can't really buy our expensive ass fucking white girl coffees. So we can't let them use the bathroom at that point. And we're within our right because it's the rules. People should be boycotting the rule of just using the bathroom however the fuck you are, because at that point, if they didn't let them use the bathroom and it wasn't you had to be a paying customer, then they are being racist.
PR crisis for the company. So we saw in response Shannon Phillips, the regional director in Philly, who was also white, saying her superiors ordered her to suspend the store's manager over discriminatory complaints. But she believed the complaints were false and disagreed with the move, and so not long afterwards, Starbucks fired her. So Phillips sued the company, alleging that it retaliated against her and the other white employee to convince the public it had properly dealt with the incident. Now,
that's true. That's honestly true.
Massive news around this situation this week is that a federal jury decided there was sufficient evidence that race was a factor in her termination, and so they awarded her $25 million in damages. But also,
bruh, imagine doing your job, getting fired, and making $25 million. Holy moly.
So that highlights the black men at the center of this whole story, who they got fucking arrested for what? And they got almost nothing for themselves out of the ordeal. Instead, taking a symbolic settlement for $1 each from the city, along with a commitment to fund a $200,000 program for young entrepreneurs.
Honestly, good for them. So I'm actually curious about this comment here. Many places don't let you use the bathroom if you're not a paying customer. Actually, it's pretty rare for a store to require a purchase. As someone with IBS, I have never come across this. And I wonder what they are. Are they white or what are they? So, this is where this person says it perfectly. In New York City, a lot of fast food chains like McDonald's have some sort of code that you need to get to use the bathroom, which you can only get if you make a purchase. So, you know, it's not false, it's true. This person probably doesn't live in New York, the person with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. That basically is slang for we have to shit a lot. But yeah, I don't know. This is a weird situation. I'm not fully on either side. But at the end of the day, like, you know, I'm never going to blame an employee who is trying to keep their job, especially in this economy, following the rules, especially when they could be fired for not following them. Like, obviously, again, it's an asshole thing to do, but I'm not going to blame them if, like, the store's culture there is like, oh, you know, you have to listen to the rules or else we fire you. And if they fire you and you only have $1,000 in savings, you're homeless. Excuse me. So again, it's a weird topic, but it's just sad. It's sad all around.
Why is there a shortage in the automotive industry? I'll tell you why. It's because these
Why?
damn kids don't want to work.
Oh, you know how many times we've heard that? We don't want to work. We don't want to work. For me, it's true. I don't want to work. I mean, I'll be straight up honest, right? I'm a lazy fuck. I work. I hate working. I hate my job. I hate the pay I get. It's unfulfilling. A lot of that's on me for what I chose, but as we saw with the zoology major, a lot of what we choose doesn't really matter. We all end up, or most of us end up, in pretty much the same places.
Hello, it's Mechanic Link, and let me break down the real reason why we have a labor shortage.
Why?
Number one, it's money.
Wow,
I don't understand why it's such a hard concept to grasp. But it's not just about money. It's about all the different ways money is involved.
Oh,
let's start at the bottom with tire slingers and lube techs.
Hey,
Starting
yo,
pay
lube.
is, on average, $10 an hour, meaning
That's
some
not
places are a
livable.
little higher and other places are a little lower. The 110-pound high school lifeguard that works at the YMCA named Aiden is earning more. Another way money is involved is you need to invest in tools.
See, this is where I know some people get into certain, like, jobs because it falls, like, into their lap, or because it's convenient, or because that's what they know. But this is where, like, if you had a choice, why the fuck would you become a lube tech or a mechanic or whatever if you know you can make more money doing something else? Again, I know people sometimes don't have a choice, or some people just want to do it regardless of the pay, but a lot of the time I feel like for the majority that's not the case, and this is where I question how these industries sort of survive if they're not, like, getting workers. Like, the only people who are going to take this job are people who are desperate or people who love it, which again is not the majority. So if you're losing out on people because you're not doing the right stuff, how is the industry surviving? I mean, again, this is where it's probably causing, like, a lot of strain on the industry, a lot of slowdown, which is going to affect everything else because the automotive industry is how you travel. You get to work and stuff. So again, it's a whole spiral effect of everything shitty, so everything else is going to be shitty by comparison because everything affects everything.
Firstly, you need hand tools, pneumatic tools, and a box. So on day 0, you need an initial investment of at least $500.
Oh,
We're
wow.
still on money. Let's talk about liability. If a waiter drops a tray, you might lose $100 worth of food. If a rookie drops a car, someone might lose their life. Someone might get injured. The shop is now going to own a busted car and will have to get a replacement. And that rookie is going to lose their job. And that's going to be a resume black flag for years. For a shop risk-wise, it's just easier to hire somebody that's already a few years in. But even if the rookies can get past that, it is still a hot, greasy, grimy, dirty, sweaty profession at $21,000 a year. It's a no-brainer. Barnes & Noble pays more. Okay, let's move away from the rookies. Let's talk about mechanics who have been in the industry for a while. Mechanics around my tenure and older have a tendency to discourage new technicians.
Wonder why?
I have discovered the reason. It's those shit-talking mechanics. Oh, I definitely believe that we are causing our own shortage. But
See, they're not causing it. They are causing it because they're telling people not to come, but they're not directly causing it. The thing that's causing it is the industry itself not being good and the people in it warning other people to not get sucked into the trap.
The question is, why?
Oh.
And again, it comes back to money. We've been in the industry long enough to realize all the different ways that we've been fucked. Let's talk about the flat rate. I'm going to keep it real. It's a double-edged sword. When it works well, sometimes you come out ahead. When it doesn't work, it kills. You only get paid when you're working. So if the shop has bad business practices and nothing is coming in through the door, you don't get paid. You get paid to diagnose and labor hours based off of a book made by the manufacturer, in which they can change the labor rates however they want. Those labor hours were clocked when the vehicle was brand new, so there's no added clock for rust, or for drilling, or for torching. I know there's going to be a couple hotshots in my comment section saying if you can't beat flat rate, then you shouldn't be a mechanic. Let's drop the bravado. You and I both know those books are cooked so that when you lose, and when you win, you break even. Now let's say you are one of the lucky few that is consistently beating flat rate. Cherry-picking tickets! No computer access to adjust flat rate hours. Even when all the conditions work in your favor, we're still getting paid less than HVAC, electricians, Tilers, plumbers, tow truck drivers. Don't even get me started on warranty time. If you love fixing cars, do it as a hobby, because being a mechanic is playing life on hard mode.
This is actually crazy. I didn't know there was such intricacies, but obviously there is in every industry, but like, it's crazy to see the intricacies in the automotive industry, in the mechanic industry. This is crazy. Wow. More corruption! And, you know, obviously job sucking. And these are necessary jobs, by the way. Like, these are necessary jobs that need to be there. And they're not, like, being filled because the industry is shit. Let's see the comments here. It doesn't help matters that auto mechanics get the worst rap and they get more complex. They get more complex to work each year. That's true. Stuff is improving, the pay isn't. I can definitely rant on idiotic complexity, but with the right pay, people will gladly take that on with a smile and skip in their step. Yes, if you pay them right. Let's go next.
So this week, Apple unveiled their new.
Oh shit! Are we getting to the stuff recent? Oh no, we're still a month behind. Fuck. Okay, but this video from Adam, he does a lot of videos like this recently that I sent myself, where it's like he's talking about the strike.
$3,500 Uncanny Valley ski goggles. And in their video, the main use case seems to be watching movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is weird because the writers and creators of Everything Everywhere All at Once are currently on strike with the Writers Guild of America because Apple and the other streamers won't pay fair wages. Apple makes $400 billion a year.
Also, Apple is the most valuable company in the world. I believe they surpassed Mansa Musa's wealth. Let me actually check that. Let's go into the segment again of getting the fuck off TikTok. Why is my mouse not working? There we go. Mansa Musa wealth. 400 billion. Apple worth 3 trillion. 3 trillion. Oh yeah, they beat the shit out of Mansa Musa. Oh my god.
And they power that revenue with our work. They use our work to advertise.
This is what every like corporation or employer does though. Anyone at the top powers themselves with the people at the bottom and doesn't pay them right.
And sell their products, and yet they won't pay writers an extra $17 million.
Look at all the people like I keep saying rioting. Striking in the background.
$1 a year, less than 1% of their revenues. That is why we are on strike. There's not going to be new episodes of Severance. They're not going to get any more Ted Lasso until they come back to the table and pay writers a fair share. And unless they do, there's not going to be a lot of content to watch on that $3,500 face computer. So Apple, come back to the table, pay writers fairly. Until then, no writing.
I don't understand. Right? I have so much respect for Adam. I thought Adam was like a corporate guy. I thought he was like a rich guy. I mean, he could still be rich, who knows? But rich or not, he is standing with the people who are striking, and he's striking too. Like, no matter what his situation is, I have respect for him. And this is where it's so insane to me, right? We are just asking, look what he said, less than 1% of their revenue a year we're asking for just to be able to live. Because we cannot live, right? And this is where, you know what the writers responded? I'm going to spoil it. The writers said, we are going to wait you out until you have to take our job because you're homeless and hungry. That is, or sorry, not the writers, Apple and like the companies, right? The company said, we are going to wait you out until you are literally dying and you have to come back to us. We do not want to pay you a living wage. We want to pay you a starvation wage, like the least we possibly can. Even while we make, 400 billion in revenue. Obviously not all from the shows, but this is where like it's so insane to me that they won't even give you something that should be a standard, like that's just like what should be done. Like this whole clown universe does not make sense.
You're probably not smart enough to learn to invest for yourself. You're probably not smart enough to learn how the stock market works. You probably don't even know how to open your own brokerage account. Safest thing is definitely for you to just let your entire retirement account sit with a fund like BlackRock or Vanguard and have them manage it all for you.
Yeah.
Or hell, maybe you're a young person that just doesn't have your own brokerage account yet and doesn't know how to invest in the stock market. You might even still be under the false impression that rich people get rich by saving up money.
Yep.
That's not true. By now we all know that every year money is worth less because of inflation, whilst the value of assets consistently grows and grows and grows as money inflates. But if you don't know how the stock market works, or how to even open a brokerage account and how to buy your own stocks and manage your own investments, Where do you even start? Well, conveniently for BlackRock, their entire business model is basically predicated on the fact that most of you aren't smart enough to just do some basic research. Scroll down a little ways, they'll all be paid for and bought, whatever. Just read one of these lists. You know, they'll give you some reviews and stuff, but you probably wouldn't understand what they're talking about. And really the most important thing you need to know is that if you go with a broker like Webull or Robinhood that uses payment for order flow, they're actually selling your trades to a market maker. Your trades are never even going to the real market. They're just playing fancy games with your money, and you're getting screwed so that you don't get charged commission. Much better.
Not true. Not true.
Better to go with a brokerage like Fidelity or Merrill.
Well, somewhat true, but you're not getting screwed that hard. It's literally like a fraction of a cent, from what I heard. I mean, you're still kind of getting screwed. Where if you're a day trader, if you're like trading very, very often, then you might get screwed. But at that point, go to somewhere else, right? Like there's better platforms than Robinhood. I've used Robinhood, I've used Stash, I've used Eggcorns, I've used all these other ones. I like Robinhood the most because it's the most convenient for me. But yeah, no, they definitely do this shady shit, but it's not that big a deal if you're a long-term investor.
You know, that Fidelity, the one who also charges $0 per trade, but does not sell your trades to market makers like Citadel so that they can profit off of giving you shitty prices. Personally, one of my main investing accounts is with Fidelity. But like, let's say you want to sign up for a brokerage account. I mean, you probably wouldn't be smart enough to Google the webpage that would help you sign up for one of these things. I mean, Lord, they're going to ask you some pretty complicated questions.
What's your name?
Like, I don't have a master's degree. Goddamn, y'all want to know what now? How would I even find such information? Definitely don't click on this thing or this thing if you don't know what you're doing. Shit, they might even ask you to review and submit your application. That's so.
See, sometimes when he's saying this stuff, I actually don't know if he's joking or not. But in all seriousness, if you don't know what you're doing, do not click margin investing. That's basically taking out a loan. Like, hey, I want to buy this stock for $15,000, but I have 10. I have $10. Can you guys give me the $15,000? Yeah, sure. But you're gonna owe us. Okay, cool. I'll just hope the stock does well. Do not buy on margin, people.
So complicated. It's probably much better if you just leave all your retirement money with BlackRock and you don't ever build your own nest egg and you don't learn to invest your own money and develop your own assets and you just keep on working at your job all day, every day because they pay you enough for you to barely get by and scrabble for scraps in your life, and maybe you'll even be able to take care of your family and not live in abject poverty for the rest of your life, but probably not, you know. Probably better if you don't, you know, learn the one thing that all rich people use to turn their little stacks of money into giant stacks of money that become buildings of money, and then they control the world with it. You should probably leave that game to the big boys that know what they're doing. But for real, in all seriousness, guys, if you don't know how to invest and don't know how to buy stocks and don't have a basic understanding of the market, there is no better way to learn than to actually get skin in the game.
That's true.
It's just the fact of the matter that if you don't have money invested that you're managing yourself, you don't have anything on the line, and so you won't learn nearly as quickly. But
this is where I run my own brokerage account, right? This is where it's a similar thing for retirement that I said, where a lot of people don't know what they're doing, and the companies bank on that so you can get less money, right? So you can work for them longer, or work for someone longer, at least, maybe not them. But this is where like it's very hard for people to get into the stock market. It's very confusing at first. Once you know it, you know it, right? Once you know anything, it's easy. The stock market, I promise people, is not that complicated. Just don't be stupid, be safe, do your research, like look up, hey, what are good stocks, and don't just choose the first website that's there. And I'll tell everyone this again, I'm not a financial advisor, but if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, listen to Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, listen to me, the idiot of fucking New York. Just invest in the market. Invest in the index fund of the S&P 500. You can invest in any of them. You can invest in SPLG, IVV, you know, any index fund that tracks the S&P 500 with a low expense ratio is more than enough to get in the stock market. Excuse me, you're literally investing in the top 500 companies ever. So,
but if you have a couple $100s, a couple $1,000s in the markets that you're investing with companies that you believe in, you are suddenly highly incentivized to do your research.
Exactly.
You're highly incentivized.
This is where, like, I don't invest in something because when you invest in something, your money is essentially going away from you. So it's like you're buying something, and when you're buying something, then you got to know what you're buying. Unless you're an idiot buyer, but at that point, there's no helping you.
Advised to invest well, to understand what your investment is, to how it works. And if you're trying to build wealth, build something safe and secure for your family to live off of, there is no more important skill than learning how to invest. Doesn't have to be in stock markets, Could be in real estate, could be in commodities, gold, silver, could be in cryptocurrencies, but that shit's complicated too. I am absolutely not telling you what stocks to buy. I am not stock picking. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. This is not financial advice. All I'm saying is that if you want to take charge of your life and you want to educate yourself, the best way to educate yourself is to stop watching TikTok and to actually get skin in the game and start playing. If I had to recommend one thing, it would be
the best time to invest is now. With the video we saw earlier of compounding, you know, with the interest rate and the inflation rate and how the inflation rate eats everything for monthly rent. If you start early, the earlier you start and the longer you live, the better it is. Just keep the money in, invest in like an S&P 500 index, and you're good for the long term, not for the short term.
Never invest more than you can afford to lose. Pretend like this first money that you're investing in whatever you invested in, you're setting it on fire, you're throwing it in the trash. It's probably all going to go down. It's really hard to pick stocks. It's really hard to do this stuff. There's a reason why companies like BlackRock make so much money to manage all of our money. But this process of opening a brokerage account and getting into investing will teach you your risk tolerance. It'll teach you how you want to invest. If you aren't comfortable learning the hard way, learn carefully and slowly, but please consider learning. Because it is our own unwillingness to play the game that lets investment firms like BlackRock or State Street or Vanguard,
I literally walk in front of this shit every day,
or big banks like JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, play with mountains of cash and control insane amounts of voting power in the market. And that voting power is what determines how corporations are run. You don't have to be very bright to read the room and realize that corporations are not running very well. And it would be great if more of us were voting and deciding the future of our country and our corporate culture together. Or you could stay on the sidelines and let these guys manage it all for us. It's your choice.
So this is where, ironically enough, as we've seen in this episode, a lot of the people's voting and a lot of the people's, coming togethers and speakings don't really have an effect. This is where I truly believe, and this is the part where it's still sort of rigged. It's always going to be rigged, right? But where your vote probably matters the most is in the stock market. In the stock market, if you own at least one stock of a company, you are eligible to go and vote for that company when they have voting for the investors, because the investors get to decide, because when you're an investor, you own the company. So you're technically an owner. So you get to decide what happens with the future of that company. You get to vote on it. And at that point, that vote actually matters. The problem is we're in such the minority, because the more shares you have, the more voting power you have. And again, who owns most of these companies? BlackRock and Vanguard. So they have the most voting power, but that's not to say we can't overpower them. They own like 8 and 9%. Where's the other percentages? Obviously, a lot of other rich people, but we still have some power where if we do vote and we do get the vote through, they have to listen to us. Because the only vote that really still matters in America is the vote of the shareholder. Like, honestly. Anyway, very nice video. Let's go next.
The Great Recession of 2008 dropped the price of crude oil by a third to $70 a barrel. In an emergency meeting on October 24th, OPEC cut back production by 1.5 million barrels a day. By December 2008, crude dipped even lower to $45 a barrel. So OPEC shut in another 2.2 million barrels a day. Prices slowly...
Okay. This is very relevant to what we're talking about, but oh my god, I can't even pay attention to what they're saying because I'm just staring at the screen of like what I'm seeing. Like, this is crazy. Esther the bipedal entity
slowly recovered, hitting $90 a barrel by early 2011.
Whoa.
In response to governmental corruption and economic stagnation, the Arab Spring erupted in Tunisia in January 2011 and spread to several other countries.
Look at all the hand motion.
In the Arab world. By February 2011, revolutionary forces overthrew Libya's leader Muammar Gaddafi. This slashed another 1.5 million barrels a day of oil. Supply dropped to match lower demand, recovering prices to a new sweet spot of around $100 to $120 a barrel. OPEC's spare production capacity also returned to 5%, a level not seen since the 1990s. But the continuing Iraq War, the Libyan Civil War, and international sanctions against Iran's nuclear ambitions squeezed oil supply, pushing prices
Something else is getting squeezed.
Up again. On June 23, 2011, the US and the International Energy Agency released some of their strategic stock in a controversial attempt to dampen prices, a tactic Biden is using in 2023.
Yeah, and like our reserves have never been lower, I heard.
But in the end, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Kuwait boosted their production. They far surpassed old quotas, and prices returned to around $100 by 2012.
Man, is like 100 the magic number here?
However, this oil production increase shrunk Saudi Arabia's spare production capacity yet again. This made the market vulnerable to price swings and threatened
What was that price swing like motion?
Saudi Arabia's clout within OPEC, reigniting internal power struggles.
Oh shit.
This unnerved Washington. How else could the oil market stabilize itself? Well, let's consider fracking.
What the
Fracking involves the obliteration of rocks to free oil or gas molecules trapped inside. Early attempts at fracking utilized torpedoes, but in 1997, a newly developed method blasted rocks with pressurized water and sand. By 2015, the US produced 4.5 million barrels a day of shale oil. Many viewed shale oil as the new swing producer because unlike traditional oil wells, its production could be quickly ramped up or down, suggesting greater market elasticity.
Okay. I think we've seen enough of this. I honestly included this as more of just like a refreshing thing to not be depressing, but I think we get the gist of it. This is more of just a history lesson, I guess. Or the recession return, or whatever. Oil is fucked. Oil is just fucked. That's like the one thing like you can threaten America with, and can you really threaten us? Because once we hear about oil, we go rushing in. So it is what it is.
Have you ever heard of the socialist CEO?
Processing company with a C. Oh, okay. We're gonna leave this for next time. We're gonna leave this
Great
for next
Recession.
Time. We're gonna leave off on this lovely person, the bipedal entity, Esther. So we went for about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. Jesus, how far did we get? We went from June 11th all the way to, doesn't look like that far, right here to almost June 20th. Honestly, not bad. So as you can see, I've started to send myself less TikToks now because finally I'm like, damn, I'm so behind. But considering I have tomorrow off, because today's actually Thursday, believe it or not, we started earlier and it wasn't even Friday, so a lot of strange shit going on. But yeah, so we made it a good amount, and I think we're actually pretty close. If I record another one tomorrow, I think we'll be pretty fucking close to like getting to the recent stuff here. Like we still have a lot of stuff to go through, sure, but we're definitely getting there. We're definitely getting there. Excuse me, holy Jesus. But anyway, I ate most of my food, so I'm pretty happy and healthy and sated. And I think we got through a lot. So this has been episode 23 of the Dark Dimension TikToks. I still don't know what I'm going to name this one, but we'll see. You guys will certainly know once this is uploaded. But anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed. And remember, I stream at twitch.tv/technical channel, Tecnics channel, where this is all a big ad for that, and it's a big ad for, or a big excuse for me to just watch videos and eat while recording myself. One day I'm going to do mukbangs, I swear. But anyway, hope everyone enjoyed. That's going to be it.